Well, hello there. You're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time to see then what's making the headlines with the consultant editor of the Daily Mail, Andrew Pearce, and oh, he's not there yet, but he will be soon. He's coming, I'm sure. The associate editor of the Daily Mirror, Kevin Maguire. We've got to put some more money in the machine, have we, to get him up? No doubt we will soon. So, while we're waiting, to the front pages. The Financial Times leading with the EU offer on concessions, on customs paperwork and the checking of goods moving between Britain and Northern Ireland. It's hoped the offer will bring the lengthy post-Brexit deadlock between Brussels and Westminster to an end. But The Guardian reports that the European Union believes Boris Johnson could reject the offer. Daily Express says that shoppers are being urged to buy their Christmas presents early because of the supply chain crisis. Get your skates on. The Metro carries Prince William's criticism of space tourism of the sort enjoyed by William Shatner. He insists the future of the planet should be a bigger priority. Yorkshire Post calls on the North Yorkshire Police and Crime Commissioner Philip Allott to resign after he said in an interview that murder victim Sarah Everard should not have submitted to the false arrest by her killer, a serving police officer. The Star has more on the war of words between Sir Paul McCartney and Sir Mick Jagger. The headline, "Hey Feud." Oh, I nearly sang that. Sorry. And The Sun has a story about Strictly Come Dancing contestant Robert Webb. Heart Up Webb quits Strictly, the paper says. Well, they're both here. What a relief. Andrew Pearce and Kevin Maguire. Come on, next time. Kevin, let's start with you. Financial Times, straight to the European concessions on Northern Ireland and Brexit. Will it do the trick? And has it surprised people, the extent of it, do you think?
Yeah, as the Financial Times says, the EU offers to scrap most Northern Ireland checks to resolve the Brexit standoff. Paperwork halved, 80% of animal and plant products going into Northern Ireland from Great Britain wouldn't be checked. So it's much wider than was anticipated. So you could say it's generous, but the question, will it be accepted? Well, we don't know. The UK government says it wants to go into intensive negotiations. But Dominic Cummings, the Prime Minister's former chief aide, now daggers drawn, it's got to be said, with Boris Johnson, said, well, he always intended to basically break the deal they made. So there's very bad faith in all of this. David Frost, Lord Frost, who Andrew, if he was European, would call an unelected bureaucrat or something, he'd probably run him down, is always tub thumping, but he has said he's got no red lines on this occasion. So it is possible the deal might be done. The triggering of Article 16, which would allow the UK government in certain circumstances to tear up the agreement, well, that hasn't happened, but there is something of a standoff. But it's got to be said that Maros Sefcovic, the EU Commissioner, has made a bigger offer than was expected.
Yes, the European Commission Vice President saying, you know, this is not the day for red lines or deadlines, didn't he? But, you know, big offer, 80% of checks on animal and plant-based products and half the customs paperwork would go. I am fascinated, and it might just be me, to be fair, why the EU bloc has come to this. Are they just bored of Brexit and this is one of the big hangovers? Is it because Maros Sefcovic visited Belfast and actually genuinely spoke to people about the impact of it? Or is it the playing hardball of Lord Frost and co, Andrew?
I think it's a bit of all of it. And it's actually a hugely significant victory for Frost, because only a few weeks ago, the European Union was saying absolutely that the Northern Ireland Protocol was not for negotiation. It would not be up for renegotiation. Mrs. Merkel said it. That dreadful French president said it too. And it's been torn apart. We were being briefed this morning. We thought it would be 50% of the regulations would be swept away. Now it's 80%. The fact is, the EU were bombarding that border with more regulations, more restrictions than any other part of the continent of Europe, up to some suggestions 40, 50%. It was like a punishment beating because of Brexit. And what they realised was this is going to cause real damage to the Irish economy, big damage to the Irish economy, because Ireland does an awful lot of business with the UK. That was a problem. And Britain would then be able to say if the Northern Ireland peace agreement got into difficulty, it was their fault. So they've backed off, they've blinked first. The big sticking point, though, is the European Court of Justice. Will Britain allow the European Court to continue to police any agreements. What Britain's pressing for is some form of international arbitration, but the European Court is an act of faith almost. It's one of the cornerstones of the European Union's regime. So I can't see, I think that would be a red line for the European Union. And I know that if you talk to Northern Ireland traders, probably if you talk to the DUP, they'd say the European Court is a red line for them, but traders would not say so. So I think if they can get round the European Court issue, it's a great deal. And I just don't see why it's taken the European Union quite so long to pull their finger out and stop being so petty and bureaucratic and, frankly, vindictive, which is what they were doing on the border in the months before.
Hang on. The EU has shown more flexibility than the UK government. Let's not forget that Brexit deal and the protocol were negotiated by Boris Johnson and David Frost, Lord Frost, who hailed it as an excellent agreement. And Frost said he was proud to lead the team that negotiated it. Now, either they haven't a clue what they were negotiating, or, as Dominic Cummings has said, they always just intended to break it, to say their word was not their bond. They would not honour the agreement. So Andrew can go on and on about it, but the people who are doing the most complaining are those who moved the border down into the Irish Sea, and Johnson and Frost betrayed the Ulster Unionists and the Democratic Unionists, who they led up the garden path. So he can bang on about great victories, but let's never forget who signed and negotiated that agreement for the UK government.
I'm incredibly happy with the outcome. I think it's fantastic. The EU has blinked. They've backed down absolutely hugely. They've made a huge compromise when from just a few weeks ago they were saying absolutely no prospect whatsoever of a renegotiation of the protocol. Well, they've backed down 100%. Lord Frost has proved himself to be a very adept negotiator. He's a tough guy. I wish he'd been involved in the negotiations right from the start, because we would have got out of the European Union a lot sooner, a lot quicker. I think he was a second. He was unelected. Kevin, hang on, Kevin.
He was a second-rate diplomat.
Hang on. You were saying he's unelected. There's a long history of peers of the realm taking a key role in negotiations. Lord Carrington, very significant diplomat, and he was in the House of Lords. So you forever go on about people you accuse of being unelected in the European Union, and then you defend the unelected in the UK. Come on, you can't have it both ways like that. No problem.
Guys, we've got a lot of other things to pack in, if you don't mind. We will wait to see what happens as those intensive talks begin. Obviously, Maroš Šefčovič, the EU Brexit Commissioner, is already here, waiting for those meetings, so we'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, Andrew, your paper, the Daily Mail, Mail Campaign Triumph. This is day 2 of it, I think, probably, isn't it? Anyway, the new face-to-face revolution, Sajid Javid launching a revolution in GP access. Family doctors will be offered an extra £250 million to improve patient access. Tell us about this one.
Well, this has been a Mail campaign for 4 weeks, because it became quite clear in large parts of the country it's very, very difficult to have a face-to-face appointment with your GP. Now, in many parts of the country, under 57, about 57% of appointments are face-to-face. In some parts, it's below 50%. Now, the GPs are saying it's because of the workload caused by the pandemic and the backlog, and they say they're seeing more people, but it isn't the same having a telephone consultation, and it is not the same having a Zoom consultation. Not everybody needs to see the GP face-to-face, but a lot of people do, and that the Mail has uncovered all sorts of evidence of diagnoses not being done properly by GPs who work very hard. I'm not criticising, they work incredibly hard and long hours, but not doing the proper diagnosis because they didn't see a patient face-to-face. There's also been a big problem too, Anna, with continuity. People don't see the same GP. And you do need to see the same GP on a regular basis because they know what you look like, they know about your weight, they can just tell. So what the Sajid Javid has done in the space of a month, found money to pay doctors, but they've got to deliver. There will be league tables published for those who do not see patients face to face. And I think this is a real victory for patients. It's going to make a considerable improvement to the NHS, because you want the best form of medicine is preventative medicine. So if GPs can spot things early on, that not only makes life much better for the patient, it's going to save the NHS an awful lot of money.
I mean, it's like the olden days, having your own GP. That's been gone for
Yeah.
years, hasn't it? But the difficulty is, just very quickly on this, that having, very roughly 30,000 cases a day, GPs need to keep themselves safe. They need to make sure they don't get COVID still, because then they'd be off work for 10 days. So there's a definite balance to be had here. It's not all about exposing yourself and seeing people face to face, isn't it?
Dentists, Anna?
No.
But what about dentists? But hang on, what about dentists? They dig deep into people's mouths, COVID, and they're right close up to them. They've been working face to face since the lockdown was lifted.
Yeah, but there was a long period dentists weren't working, and as somebody who unfortunately has had to use dentists, I know the precautions they have now, both in waiting rooms and when you go into the dentist's chair. So I think they're not treating patients at the pace that they were. I think before lockdown, about 80% of patients were seen by GPs face to face. It's down to about 60% now. It can go up a bit, but not everybody needs to see face to face. I think those who feel they have to, and there will be cases where they should, then that's good. But that £250 million, I'd like to see what the period of time is, because in a country of 60 odd million people, that's about £4 per patient. And doing my quick maths, it must be about, 12p a week or something. So I'm not sure how far it will go. And you can be designated your named GP in a practice, but that GP will probably have 5 or 6 weeks off a year. So you'll be seeing other GPs at certain times. And there might be some that become overworked, and then you'll have to go and see another one. So I just wonder whether that named GP ruse is just a bit of spin.
OK. Lots more still to come, including keeping his feet on terra firma. Prince William puts the boot into space tourism as another William goes into space. Talk about that in just a moment. Welcome back. You're watching the press preview. With me now, Andrew Pearce and Kevin Maguire. Let's go to the Metro, shall we? Kevin and Prince William, not impressed with the profound experience by William Shatner, a.k.a. Captain Kirk.
No, he's bringing Captain Kirk down to earth, who'd boldly gone where no oldie's gone before, age 90. Going into space with Jeff Bezos. But Prince William is seen as just a rich man's game. And he says we need some of the world's greatest brains and minds fixed on trying to repair the planet, not trying to find the next place to go and live. Given that Bezos, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, they're all into this private space race, I just wish they'd all pay more tax in the here and now, rather than playing these very rich man's games. But no, he's rained on Shatner's parade, and Shatner, 90, loved it, so it was great, and he made comments about how you can see how fragile the ecosystem is. I'm not sure going up in that rocket is going to help the ecosystem, because the amount of pollution. And he also, Shatner said, he thinks everybody should do this. Well, if 7 or 8 billion people go up into space like that, I'm not sure there'll be much of an ecosystem left.
But he talked, didn't he, about the Earth's atmosphere, and it's, thinner than the skin, and, looking back at the blue and the contrast with the darkness. I mean, it was a powerful eco message about the extraordinariness of planet Earth. And if millions of people do see it, there is some benefit to that, isn't there? As you see the pictures inside, looking down. I mean, it must be, and we know it is, mind-blowing for people.
Yeah, it's not an eco trip.
I think it's a good thing, and this is much more effective than that very irritating young what's her name, Greta Thunberg. She's so intensely irritating. This is brilliant. You can see for yourself the impact, and Shatner is a very articulate man, and he'll talk a lot about this in the next few days. And by the way, he looks amazing for 90, doesn't he?
Amazing that he withstood this bump as well. Actually, when it landed, I was thinking, that could do something.
And he jumped. He sprang out of that pod like he was a teenager.
Yeah.
I think he's amazing.
Absolutely. You wanted to talk about the Daily Star too. Haven't got time. Hey Feud. Macca says Stones are a blues covers band. Jagger says the Beatles never did arena tours. Anyway, there we are. You can read that yourself. 60 years of fierce rivalry. Who knew? I have to confess I did not. But anyway,